Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Confined Kitchen. We are back. We've been away for a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks. Had some holidays, getting things prepped up for the speaking season. I sliced open my thumb pretty good there the other week, about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks ago, and yeah, it was pretty good. Right on the tip there, not good, but it's all healing up and crazy glued. Everything's nice and safe and sanitary. But I'm excited to be back here with you. Look, it's September, at least when I'm filming this. I don't know when you're watching it. It's the start of the fall season. Want to get something warm, something comfortable, something delicious for us to have. So tonight, and there's a few ways you can vary with this. Star of the show, risotto. We're making a mushroom and broccoli risotto with Parmesan and white wine and chicken broth. It's going to be awesome. You can do this with pretty much any poultry or grilled meat. What we're doing it with tonight, because it's in season, you can get a special on it and stuff like that, is a nice duck breast. So we've got a lovely duck breast that we're going to do this with, and it's going to be awesome. So let's go with some seared duck breast and mushroom risotto. Let's do this thing. It's going to be awesome. Okay, so the thing that I love with this meal, with a couple of things. One, risotto, this is, there's some skill involved, there's some patience involved, which is something we all really need right now, and it's a good thing to practice. You got to stay on top of things, but you got to be patient. You do the work, it's actually simple, easy. It's one of these things that I always thought, oh, risotto, I don't know, but once you put in the time, you do it right, it's fantastic. So that's what we're going to do with the risotto. And then again, the duck, it's decadent, it's rich, it's lovely. It's almost like cooking a red meat. But again, simple method. If you just have a little patience and take the time, you can make it happen. So this is going to be a delicious meal. I'm so excited to make it. So let's get going. First off, we've got these boneless duck breasts, skin on. So the first thing that we're going to want to do, and we'll put this aside, we want these at room temperature when it's time to go, is we want to do a cross cut. We want to score the skin on the outside. So we're just going to go nice and light with the knife. This is well sharpened. We're going to go this way with cuts. We're going to do that on both the duck breasts. So once you've scored the skin all in one direction like that, we're going to just turn the cutting board and score it the other way. This is really going to help the fat to render as we're cooking it and really cook things down. It's going to be great. There, we've just scored the skin like that. Now we've got those nicely scored. We're going to do a generous bit of kosher salt on top. Then we're going to put these aside. We want them at room temperature. We're going to keep them aside until it's their turn, which it's not yet. Now, again, this takes time. It also takes time. See what I did there? We've got our risotto, our boiled rice ready to go. Our onion that we're going to have happening. What we want to get going though is the mushrooms and the broccoli. We're going to cook those, put them aside, then we'll get the risotto going, which takes some time, and then we'll have the duck going about midway through our time with the risotto. We've got some chicken broth already warming. You want to have that warm going into the pan for the risotto. So we've got a nice mix here of creminis and white mushrooms. We're going to chop these up, put them in a pan, cook them down, and then set them aside. I'll be very mindful of my thumb. Just chop those mushrooms half slices. So we've got all these mushrooms good to go, sliced up. I just did nice thick slices and then in half again, so it's perfect. We're warming up a pan. We're going to put some butter in there, a little salt, a little pepper, cook these. At the end of it, put a little broccoli in there after that's chopped, put them aside, and then we'll get going with this risotto, which is key. There's a bit of a method to it. There's a system, there's a protocol, the procedure, whatever word you want to use. It's going to be good, and then we'll get cooking that duck. Or again, whatever protein you want to put in there is going to be good with this risotto. You want to go with like a tofu or a meatless option, you know, a nice portobello, like grilled portobello steak with these, maybe a little less mushroom in the risotto, whatever you want to do. All kinds of options here, flexible. Just want to give you the foundational skills to get things going. A little bit of butter in the pan there. Just going to melt that down, and then in the mushrooms go, then we'll chop the broccoli. He's chopping broccoli. He's chopping. My 80s friends know what I'm talking about right there. Anybody else? Saturday Night Live, Dana Carvey, look it up. I'm going to add a little roasted garlic olive oil onto those. A little extra flavor. We'll add some salt, fresh ground black pepper, and get those cooking down. Mushrooms on the go. Next, we've got some fresh broccoli. We're going to cut this fairly small. We want those to cook pretty quickly and then mix in nicely. Don't want to be too big a chunk in the risotto. Nice bit of chopped broccoli. Okay, so that's chopped up. We're going to put that in just a minute. Now we're using some white wine in the risotto. I'm going to put just a little bit in with the mushrooms. A little extra flavor. And that will help to cook down this broccoli just a little bit. Now that's looking good. Now, those mushrooms are cooked. The broccoli is just steamed nicely with a little bit of that white wine. We're going to put these aside, swap them out for the big pan that we're going to cook the risotto in. So the first thing we're going to need for the risotto is cutting up some onion. Normally you could do a couple of whole shallots, small shallots. I've got sweet onion. I'm going to just finely dice that, get that ready to go. So the key here with the risotto is the adding of the fluid and then waiting until it's gone. You keep stirring until it's gone, and then you add more. So in this case, we're doing 1.5 cups of our boil rice, and then this is going to be our best friend right here, the little 1/2 cup. We're going to put in some oil. We're going to cook down the onions, sweat them out a little bit. Then we're going to add the rice with the oil into the onions. Then we're going to add 1/2 cup of white wine. Cook that down till it's gone, and then with this chicken stock that's just at a nice medium heat staying warm, we're going to keep adding 1/2 cup at a time of the chicken stock. Stir it in and stir it in and stir it in. Once it's gone, it's absorbed all the liquid. We keep going. This is a full package, one of the tetras of a nice chicken and garlic stock. So that's going to add some really nice flavors to it, but it's just adding and adding and adding until it's gone. It takes about 20 minutes or so. It's just a lot of add, stir, add, and then we just throw everything back together at the end with some butter and with some Parmesan in there. Actually, we have Asiago today, so that's good. We're going to throw all that in there, and then hopefully by that point, we will also have our duck finished. So this is nice and warm and ready to go. So before we get that going, we're going to chop the onion. So got a little sweet onion. It was an onion I did my thumb on before, so we're going to be real careful. Nice finely chopped onion right there. So we've done about 1/2 of a small sweet onion, finely chopped. We don't want too big pieces. We don't want them to be too much bigger than the rice. We're going to cook that down, sweat them out a little bit. We're going to add the rice and the wine and get things going. I'll be cutting to the other camera, and we'll keep showing as much as we can of this, but it's just really staying on top of the thing. In the meantime, in the midst of it, and I'll catch as much of it as we can, just wanted to right now give you some of the instruction on the duck. So we've got that scored skin, room temperature, beautiful duck breast. I'm using cast iron pan, and you're going to go from cold. Don't preheat. This is one of the only times that I would say don't preheat a pan. So you're going from cold, laying them skin down, turning it up to about a medium-high heat so that we can sear it. Now what's going to happen is that fat's going to render, and it's going to, we're not adding any oil, anything else to the pan. It's going to oil itself when that fat renders down, and it's going to be beautiful. So we're going to cook that down. We're going to flip them. Fair warning, I may have to turn on the overhead fan here because it might get a little bit smoky. So it might be a little loud. I'll talk into this as much as I can, but might get a little loud when we do that. We're just going to sear it real nice, get that nice crispy skin on the outside, cook the other side, cook them to about a medium rare as you would with a steak. Then we'll set them aside as we're finishing the risotto, and poof, everything will be amazing. So that's what's going to happen with the duck while we're doing it. It's all going to get pretty fast and furious here, but I'll try and give you as much information as I can as we're going. So, pan is heating up, oil, a couple tablespoons worth of extra virgin, and we're going to go right in with the onions. Get those onions sweating. Now I like to use one of these when cooking risotto because you're really going to get everything mixed around in there, so this is what I'm going for. Okay, those onions have a good sweat on. We're going to add this, stir it all in until the rice starts to brown just in the slightest little bit. Then we're going to pop it with that half cup of white wine and then get going with the chicken stock. We want to thoroughly mix all of that rice in, get it coated with the oil that's in there already, mixed in with those onions. Now we're going to be ready to add that white wine. All right, so that's nice. It's absorbed the oil. The rice is a little translucent, so we're going to go half cup of white wine. This is just an Italian Pinot Grigio Chardonnay, just an inexpensive one. Here we go. Time to get stirring. That does not take long, so that wine is absorbed already, and then we just keep going with half cup of stock, and we go and go and go. Stock in, keep stirring. While this one gets going and we're stirring that down, just kind of in between here, I'm going to take the duck, again well salted. We're going cold pan, skin down, into that cast iron, and we're going to go about a medium high. May have to turn the fan on, so apologize in advance if it starts to get a little loud. Just keeps on absorbing. We want to just keep stirring until that liquid is gone, and then we add more. And stock. And that duck breast is just starting to sizzle now. It's just pour and stir and pour and stir and pour and stir, and just got to stay on top of it all the time. But trust me, the end result's so worth it. That rice is getting thicker and fluffier, and we just got to keep stirring and keep stirring. Now, we're going to add some stock, and then we got to flip that duck. So, a little more stock, and then that skin's getting nice and crispy on here. We're going to flip it over. Look at that, beautiful. Lots of sizzling happening. We're getting down to the bottom of the barrel with the stock, but let's keep adding. Yeah, we're looking good now, just about there. And look at those. Going to give that duck another flip. Getting nicely cooked on both sides now. We're just going to take the last bit of the chicken stock that's in the pot and just pour that right in, stir it in, and we're going to be almost good to go here. So that cup and a half of arborio rice has now absorbed like 6.5, 7 cups of chicken stock. It's just taking it all in. All that flavor is going to be in there. It's going to be awesome. We got to test it, make sure we're at a nice al dente situation for it. So 1 second. It's not quite there yet. It needs another couple of minutes. While that last bit is going, these duck breasts are nicely seared. Look at that beautifulness right there. So we're just going to cover those in foil and let them rest like we would with a steak. That rice is looking good now. So now we're going to add a little bit of butter and then put the veg back in and then add the cheese, mix all this together. Veggies in. Now I've got the Asiago. We're going to add a whole bunch of that, get that melting in there nicely. So we get a really good flavor with that chicken and the cheese and the wine. And it's good. Would you just look at that deliciousness now. Okay, so this is beautiful. So now we're going to just slice up the duck. It'll present nicely, and then I've got some of this fresh thyme. Might put a little sprinkle of Parmesan on top and then fresh thyme on top of that. We're going to be good to go. Now, my friends, I don't know if you're ready for this. This lovely seared duck breast with a mushroom, broccoli, white wine, Asiago risotto, a little fresh thyme and Asiago on top. This is so good. We're going to enjoy this, but know that I made this for you. Remember, you can always like, follow, subscribe on the YouTube channel, at Ian Tyson on Instagram, at Ian Tyson Speaker on Facebook, and iantyson.ca always if you need to get a hold of me. Looking forward to this. Thanks so much for joining me in the Confined Kitchen. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.